Welcome back. Welcome back. Day two recap.
And
Day two recap. Really good day across the association. A couple blowouts, which we don't like to see come playoff time. However, it's going to come, but these series are going to be close. They're all going to go 6+ games, I feel like. But we're going to start off with the first game, except this one might not go 6 games. But Celtics Heat. Boston just proving once again why they are by far and away the best team in the East. It's not close. They are just, if they play team basketball, they are simply unbeatable. And I think the biggest issue in this game specifically was that we saw last year with the Heat, Jimmy Butler played a very, very good series versus the Celtics. Tyler Hero was out. Now he's back and Jimmy's out. Tyler Hero couldn't pick up the mantle. He was terrible yesterday. 9 points, I think he finished with, just simply not enough in any way to be even competitive in these games. And the Celtics, Porzingis in his first debut with the Celtics in the playoffs looked great. I thought Tatum was good, and they just simply couldn't miss from three, the Celtics. And that's how they've been all season. They just don't really miss from three, and they shoot a high volume, so it's very tough to guard them.
there was some glaring, I can't believe I'm saying this, but there were some glaring coaching issues coming from the Miami side, in my opinion. They're running that zone, which is cool. It's worked against the Heat. It's worked against the Sixers. It's worked against Boston before. They're doubling too much in the zone. Like,
I agree.
they need to, what?
I agree.
They need to replace more because they would double, like whether it be on the wing or sometimes middle guy would come double on the block or at least show double. And the Celtics just have too many weapons for like that kind of zone. A 3-2 or a 2-3 would still work, but you have to adapt it a little bit because they were getting wide open threes. You got like Pritchard hitting threes, Jalen Brown hitting threes, Drew Holiday hitting threes, Porzingis hitting threes, Tatum hitting threes, Hauser hitting threes. Like, you just simply can't double if you're going to be in a zone because there's no recovery. If you're in man and you're going to show double and drop, that's fine. But you can't be doubling up top in a 2-3 zone with shooters 5 out. Like, that was so wild to me.
I think that with Jimmy Butler being gone, it may be a sweep. Honestly, like I can't.
It should be a sweep with Jimmy Butler.
You think so?
It should, dude. That's how good Boston is, and that's how not good Miami is. But
I mean, I know Boston is that good, but I feel like Jimmy would have added some type of edge. That's just what Jimmy does. But without Jimmy, I don't think Bam has stepped into, like, this would have to be the series for us to see that Bam is capable of, really being the number one guy for the Miami Heat. I think it has to be somebody like, Jimmy, but Jimmy's, in his prime, maybe leaning towards out of his prime. But you need those guys like Tyler Hero to step up. I see that they've been playing Nikola Jovic a lot. I see that Jaime Jaquez has been doing his thing.
he's
You
been playing
need
well.
you need more guys like that, but because those guys are so young, you gotta really, figure that shit out. And I say best of luck to you next season.
Rare moment here where I'm going to disagree with Slim. I personally think, like, I saw UD talk about this a month or two ago. Like, Bam needs to take 35 shots.
Yeah, they don't run like I in both playing games. I had money on Bam's over, which I regret, but they just don't run sets for Bam, and they did it a little bit more today than they did in the previous 2 games. But still, like, he has to be super aggressive. If you can get Porzingis working on the defensive end or Jason Tatum or whoever the matchup is, that just has to be a point of emphasis. Like, he has to be efficient, and I just don't think Bam is that good to be able to do it consistently. That's
Yes,
my
he is.
only thing. I don't think he is.
Yes, he
I
is.
just don't. Like, I think he's very good defensively. Offensively, he leaves a little bit too much to be desired for me.
I disagree. It's up here, bro. He's just got to get to his spots and not be afraid to miss. Like, he shoots low volume, high percentage shots, and like when he does get the rock, whether it's facing up or he backs down, or even if he's taking it, like grabs a board and goes by himself, like, he needs to do more of that because he could be a 30-point a night guy, in my personal opinion.
100%. I think that he has the caliber to be a I don't want to say this, But if you're going to play him at the 5, he can be a Joker. He can be a Embiid. He can be dominant for just in regards to dominance for his team and production, and those teams looking to those guys to, be their main ball handlers, so to speak. The ball is in Joker and Embiid's hands. I don't know how many times a game. And Bam, like you said, low volume, high percentage, but I think that if you can, which I do agree with Finn, high volume, high percentage, because you have the potential to be that type of player and it's a mental game, you got to have that conversation with Spo. You got to have that conversation with your team. But I think it takes you making the decision to take it upon yourself to let the game, you take the game into your hands when shit go down. You feel me? All right, got blew out, and what you gonna do? You feel me? Moving
Take the
forward.
mug and go.
Exactly. That's what he need to
Like
do.
there's too many times where I saw him they give it to him on the top of the key and they just run a DHO. Why don't you just fake the DHO and go? You're quicker than Porzingis and you're quicker than a lot of 5s. You have to be able to do that, but I think that's the only way Boston can even win a game in this series, or Miami can even win a game. But I don't trust it. Prove me wrong, because I want to see a good series, but prove me wrong. And then for the Celtics, last point on this game here, if you're going to play zone against the Celtics, it would have worked, I think, in previous seasons. It's not going to work now because Porzingis at the nail and at the elbow, it's cash because you can just shoot over, and Bam's not the tallest guy, so you can shoot over Bam all day, and Porzingis hits that shot better than almost any other big in the NBA. Like that, and then you just space out with Drew Holiday, Sam Hauser, and all the guys Finn and Slim mentioned. It's impossible to guard, especially in a zone, because if Boston's playing team defense, they can just swing it around, and that's how you beat a zone. You just have to pass through it, get the ball to the middle. Then if they don't flare out, that's a pass outside for an easy 3. If they do flare, then you just have an easy nail jump shot. So like, there's not much I think Miami can really do if Boston plays how Boston should play. And
Go, man.
But yeah, I think you should go, man, and just try and don't double. Just try and let Boston beat you and get sucked into the trap of going 1-on-1, because that's when they're at their worst. It's still very good, but that's when they're at their worst.
Don't double a team where everyone can handle the ball as a pick and roll ball handler, dude. You could come run a pick and roll 4KP with the ball in his hands, and if he's hitting it off the bounce like he was yesterday, wrap it up right now. He's the best player on the court.
Indeed. But let's move on to another blowout. Mavs versus the Clippers. Probably the worst first half of Mavs basketball I watched in the last 2 months. They looked terrible. They just couldn't get anything going offensively. Luka struggled from 3 early in the game. Honestly, for the whole game, he just couldn't get one to go. Shots. I think he settled a lot more for 3s than I would have liked personally. I like when he is downhill, controlling the pace and getting to the rim. And for the Clippers, they just got they couldn't miss, first of all, but they really got anything they wanted. Zubats was killing him inside. It was all day on Daniel Gafford. And James Harden had an unbelievable second quarter and first half as a whole, like 23 points, I think it was in the first half. Like, those are things that you're going to get from a guy like a James Harden over the course of a series. You're going to get 1 or 2 of those games. I know he's in the latter stages of his career, but he's still James Harden. Paul George was very good, but he's probably going to have a game. But he's probably going to have a game where he slows up. And I thought the Mavs were going to come out firing, and the Clippers took me by surprise, man. And the best thing for the Clippers winning this is now that you won one, you can give Kawhi another day to come back, or another few games to come back, because you got one. You have a safety blanket now. And I know you're at home and you're supposed to handle your business and win both, which they still can do. But it gives Kawhi a chance to maybe say they win game 2. Kawhi can wait till game 5 to come back, and you still have 2 games at home, and you feel good about that. Like, you just give him more time.
You gotta I was very high on the Mavs, and I still have them going deep. I like the way they're built, but this is not a favorable matchup for them, to be honest. Now that I've watched it play out for a game, I didn't really pay attention to it before. I was just heavy Mavs, and the Clips, I know it's a bad sample size because they played a great game, which they easily could have not if ball doesn't go through the rim, but they kind of seem like they're built for the offs.
That's what we said in whatever January.
Someone else could step up. If it wasn't Harden last night, it would have been like Russ getting 20, 10, and 12 or whatever. Like, it just I don't know. It's different than the way the Suns are built in my eyes. Like the Suns need everyone to get 30. They need one of them to get 30.
It's because of the role players and their
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, like
And-
they can do that.
And shout out to Ty Lue. You know, I think Ty Lue knows how to play those guys and is gonna run the best thing for them, but trust them to do their thing. Trust James Harden to do his thing, Russ to do his thing. I think because of their depth, like y'all are saying, it's really difficult not to guard, but to stop the consistency when that flow is found with these star types of players. Like Twin said, it ain't like Phoenix. You know, you need all of them. You need one guy who's gonna be selfless, that activates the offensive barrage that can come from LA, especially with big rebounds from Zoo, and I saw Terrence Mann grabbing boards. Bless you, son. But Terrence Mann grabbing boards. You have everybody who's gonna want to attack the glass, clean up, and that's what wins games. And I think Dallas just really got to fight. And when it comes back to going to Dallas, I think that you really gotta be careful, because if LA gets one on the road, even without Kawhi, like I could definitely see them winning the second game in LA, then go to Dallas, and then you get the third one. You could bring back Kawhi for a fourth, and I could see this being a sweep as well if you're not careful.
This is what's it called? This is the home team. Every home team won in the day or their first game. So that's teams handling their business. And I think a lot of people get sucked up into this trap that if you're the road team and you lose when even you're like the Mavs were favored to win that game, albeit due to Kawhi being out, but they were favored to win that game. They're favored again in game 2. And people are going to overreact. What?
That sounds like dick eating to me, but continue.
No, I'm saying people are going to overreact and be like, oh, they lost. Like, same thing with like the Pacers, which we'll get to next. But like, it's one of those things where the home team should win these games. They're home. It's the first game of the playoffs. And like a road team upsetting them is a tough thing to do. And you're going to get more games at home for the road team. Like, you're going to get the next 2 out of the next 3 at home. So as long as you handle your business there, you're fine. You just don't want to let it get out of hand too early. But we'll move on to Pacers versus Bucks here. Damian Lillard with the first halves, saying that's why you brought me here. And he was unbelievable. I thought the Pacers looked as bad as they could look. Their offense was pitiful in the first half. The only consistent offensive weapon they had the entire game really was Pascal Siakam and TJ McConnell. So like, is TJ McConnell going to be your second best player? I would hope not if you're going to win a series. And I thought Pascal.
Whoa. Put some respect on TJ.
I love TJ. I'm just saying he can't be your second best player.
Miles Turner was good.
He was all right. He can't defend the rim for shit. Milwaukee, Dame hit some unbelievable shots, don't get me wrong, and that's credit to Dame. He was showing Tyrese what this shit's about. And I think for the Bucks, they just got anything they wanted inside. Like, they didn't even have to because Dame was so hot, but like, they could have posted up Brook Lopez and Bobby Portis every possession and scored probably 65% of the time. Like, their Pacers paint defense is so bad, and it's going to kill them. Like, especially when Giannis comes back. And if the Milwaukee defends the way they did yesterday, then there's no shot for the Pacers in this series. But I still don't think that's going to continue because the Bucks defense has never been consistent the whole season. But if they defended like this, then it's going to be tough for the Pacers.
That rolls into one of my notes I wrote down. You got to post Bobby up. Every time Bobby posted up, I think it might have been the third quarter, Bobby was crashing out. He played great. And as much as I slander Doc Rivers, let's not forget he is the greatest games 1 through 4 coach of all time. Has no problems getting his team to game 5. That's when he starts to have issues. So he was good last night too. Like he made the right calls. But no, in all seriousness, like Bobby is at the point in his career, I guess, where he's like a viable option to put the ball in the cup. Like every time they posted him up, he was facing up. He would go to a baby hook. He was even drawing like a phantom double too on the backside. And like Brook, I don't think as much as him should be involved. But Siakam needs to continue to be that aggressive. Halliburton needs to assert himself a little bit more. I think he was a little bit shook.
I think people are still living off this narrative.
But we created that narrative. We created that narrative.
I know we did, but I'm saying it's the national TV effect. And so like they saw him yesterday and they're like, oh, because the Pacers don't have a ton of national TV games. They just got a couple because of the in-season tournament and when he was balling. And he's been kind of living off that reputation and he needs to get back to that. He needs to be throwing up 30 and 10 games. Like he has to for this team.
Yeah, but you can't score 30 points on 8 shots and have 8 assists. Like he just needs to go be more assertive.
Yeah,
I think that may be the flow with adding Spicy P to their team as well. Pascal is going to take up a lot, being a championship winner and having that experience, being a veteran that he is. And I think TJ McConnell just play hard as shit anyway. And that's what, can really help their flow. Tyrese needs to be able to adjust to those two specifically being on the court. I think that they should share the court with him. Aaron Nesmith doing what he does.
He's still the primary ball handler, though.
Yeah, but like I want to bitch up that motherfucker like Curry. Like, what?
No, I agree.
You feel me? Like
on pick and rolls, Tyrese has to just like when he goes and if he can beat that first, like if the screen makes good contact and he can get around it. Brook is in such a deep drop that your float is wide open, and if he's not all the way back, you can just run by Brook Lopez. Like he is slow as shit, and you're fast. Go put the ball in the fucking hoop. You shot the ball 7 times. It's fucking terrible. You can't do that. I'm sorry. That's atrocious.
Jared Allen 2023 performance, some would say.
But I say on Milwaukee side, like my twin said, Bobby going crazy right now, literally showing you he could do anything. I've been seeing some baseline fade jumpers. I've been seeing so much coming from him. And I think that that's big for Milwaukee. But I love the way that they move the ball. I think Pat Bev, really helping Dame initiate the offense and get the ball moving to everybody on the court definitely helps them create that space for it to get back to Dame so that he can get a nice look, or get to Bobby so that he could, attack and have the defense, try and converge and really get people off their pivot, because Indiana ain't going to stay as strong like that. Shout out to Miles Turner. But I think that, Bobby could really, continue to, pick out mismatches from the wing if he really wanted to, just so that he could get down to the cup, kick out. Like I said, continue to move the ball. If Indiana's not careful, this could be, a easy little sweep, like a reoccurring theme with Boston, with LA. I think that Milwaukee's in a position like this as well for them to be able to, really take care of Indiana like that.
I just think that Indiana's offense has to be better than what it was. And I think it's not due to a ton. I think the Bucks played good defense and they forced them into tougher shots, but like still a lot of these looks were open and you just didn't make them. And like not having a single quarter over 30 points scored for the Pacers is terrible. With how many shots they get up is really like just can't happen. And I mean, for the one takeaway for the Pacers, you can say is Damian Lillard was a -6 and he was unbelievable in the first half when he was plus. Those minutes with him in the second half were really bad. And you started blitzing him in the second half instead of letting him go one-on-one with Andrew Nembhard. Like you found something, let's apply it next game and see where it goes. I think we're going to see a lot more of Bobby Portis, and we'll give one last shout out here. Chris Middleton, I thought finally looked like himself in this game. He was getting nice mid-range post-ups and everything like that. And that's something that Milwaukee really hasn't had all season. They just haven't. And go
ahead. Inside TOT breaking news. I know someone who knows someone who knows someone who's allegedly fucking Nembhard. Just want to throw that out there. This girl might be an interview in the works. Just want to throw that out there.
But
it clicked once you said his name. It took me a second.
Swiss rim, nigga.
But I just think that Chris Middleton's going to give you this production, and Dame and Bobby are going to be this good. It's going to be a tough series for Indiana, but I don't think it's going to stay that way. I think we're going to see a game where Dame is a little rough. I think we're going to see a game where Chris Middleton's rough. But I mean, if you can't guard the paint whatsoever, you got no hope. You really do. You have nothing. But last game of the night, by far and away the best game. Thunder Pelicans. It was down to the wire as down to the wire comes. The Thunder really showed in the fourth quarter for the first 7 or 8 minutes of it why they're a young team. Like they showed the lack of playoff experience in this moment. There was 5 minutes straight plus where they didn't score a field goal. And then they went on another. It was like the Pelicans went on an 18-4 run in the fourth quarter. Stuff like that just can't happen. I understand you're young and all that, and you ended up winning the game. Credit to you behind Shea closing.
And I'd say Jay will as well. Jalen Williams, 18 points. I think
he didn't have a great fourth quarter, but
yeah. 1 for 5 from 3 and still had a good game. That's how you know he's on one.
Yeah, like Shea down the stretch got the switch on, I believe it was CJ or maybe it was on Herb, but had a nice step back from like 18 feet cash. And then a few possessions later, the Thunder or the Pelicans tied it up and Shea comes through and hits an and one sweeping through the lane. And basically that was it. And I want to give credit to New Orleans for battling back because they looked rough there for moments throughout the game, but they took the lead at one point and they should have honestly won, but they just couldn't hit shots. Herb missed a wide open corner 3, which he just couldn't buy a basket last night for his standards.
Yeah.
And they also went and he, even after he missed it, or maybe it was the possession after, he went and got an offensive rebound, hit it out, and you had another chance and still didn't convert. Like those are the things that you just have to be able to convert, especially in the playoffs, if you want to be able to steal a game on the road. And they just couldn't do it. CJ had a great look to end the game. I thought he had a chance, but wasn't.
He's a con artist, bro. I do think New Orleans is going to steal the series, though.
They match up well, especially if Zion comes back. The Thunder, for Chet having 5 blocks, I believe it was in this game, so credit to him. But their paint defense as a whole is similar to Indiana's, where it's really, really bad. And if Zion can go and just attack, like they don't, like Lou Dort's a big dude, but once you get by him, there's not much size.
He ain't as big as Big Z.
Yeah, there's not as much weight coming through there. But
I think Trey Murphy has been playing a pretty decent game for him to be back on the floor. I know he missed some time earlier this season, but you know, from my looks, I like the way that New Orleans was sharing the ball. You know, I like the looks that CJ McCollum is getting. I like the shots that he's taking. And like we said, you know, if Zion is able to be back, then it really changes the series. But yesterday or today, you know, wherever you are, like, follow, comment, subscribe, show your mom, show your auntie, shout out Swish Rim, shout out everybody. But I think with Herb Jones playing as immaculate defense as he does, I think that really corrals the group to, in transition, get the best looks. And I think that BI is going to end up having one of those games. So with everything that New Orleans has, I see this series probably 6-7. And I think that maybe Shea and them can get another one at home. But when it comes back down to Smoothie King Center, you got to watch out. You got to be careful because those cats get aggressive. Those cats get relentless, and they keep attacking. They keep, you know, showing up on defense too, stripping you, doing whatever.
Lou Dort did one hell of a job against Brandon Ingram. As Slim was saying, I think he's going to do for one of those games. He's too talented not to. But, I mean, 5 for 17 is just simply not going to cut it from the floor. It's just not. And I think as time goes on, we're going to see a couple more higher scoring games in the series once they figure out each other in this moment in the playoffs with the fouls and the lack of fouls and all that. But also, the Pelicans just weren't efficient. Like everyone on their team was a sub or below 50%, except for their bigs. Like that's just not going to be able to translate. Trey Murphy had a good game, though. I will give him credit. Played 44 minutes. That's a ton. And I thought him and Herb switching between Shea and Jalen Williams did a great job on defense. And that's what it's going to come down to. I think the Pelicans match up with the Thunder better than people like to think. And I really do think the Thunder got lucky. They played a good game until the fourth quarter, and then they had the best player on the floor. And that's what happens in the playoffs. If it's close, you trust the best guy on the floor. And that's what Shea Gilgeous-Alexander is. But any other final comments on this game? Or are we wrapping it up?
Make sure you keep an eye out for us. We're going crazy right now. I think we're gonna drop a little video about maybe restructuring the playoffs last year. This is Matt and Slim's next year. This is Matt and Slim's first time to hear about this, but I think 5-game series, first 2 rounds, 7-game series, Western Conference Finals, Eastern Conference Finals, and the finals. Keep an eye out for that one.
I don't hate that. I don't hate that. But
keep an eye out for it.
Like, comment, subscribe. We'll see you guys next time.